I promise. It doesn't say that.
I agree for HTTPS. Double stroke.
Nice to meet you. Which one?
Stream.
Hello, apa kabar? And welcome to Virtually Peranakan Fest 2025, organized by Peranakan Sayang. It's our 6th year organizing this 2-day online festival with presentations to share and to celebrate our culture with presenters from around the region. My name is Baba Elvin Un, and your festival organizer and your host from Peranakan Sayang in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. So please say hello in the comments and do let us know where you are watching this live stream from, and do share your questions and your opinions as well. Joining me for this program, I have my co-host from Malacca. Please welcome Baba Cedric Tan. Hello, Ba.
Selamat tengah hari. It's back to my favorite topic for the day.
Apa tu?
Pantun.
Pantun, eh? Yeah, we had a little bit of those earlier on. Teresa
Yes.
did mention. And we're very fortunate to have Chan Eng Thai join us. We do apologize for the slight delay. There was a slight technical issue, but hey, we got it all resolved, and we're very happy to have Eng Thai. Hello, Eng
Yeah.
Thai. Please unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Baba.
You got to
Baba Rocky, how do you
unmute
do?
yourself dulu. Yeah, so Eng Thai will be sorting out. Oh, he's gone. So, Bob, as we are working out the technicalities, maybe you can
Yes.
share your experience and knowledge about Pantun.
Pantun. Well, Pantun is actually a Malay quatrain, yeah, comprising of a four-liner composition. The first two basically will be the imaginary lines, they call it, and the last two is where the actual message that you want to convey would be actually inserted in. And the ends of each line must rhyme. The first and the third, the second and the fourth
First
must
and
rhyme.
third, second and fourth, right? Out of the four
Yes.
lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and each line must be between 8 to 10 syllables only, not more than that or less than that, because or else you don't get that
The
that sort of
flow.
flow, the feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be too long until it's so like mouthful. No. Only between 8 to 10 syllables.
Okay, okay.
Ah,
So I hope
like
yeah.
ha.
Yeah, Eng Thai,
So
you're back. But you're muted. We can't hear you.
unmute yourself. Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Oh, Baba.
Okay, so let's continue sharing while
Yeah.
he tries to
So
unmute
let me
himself.
give you an idea what's a pantun. Yeah, pantun. As I give you a good example, simple one. Dua tiga kucing berlari, mana sama si kucing belang. Dua tiga boleh gua cari, mana sama Baba Alvin seorang.
One
Two,
of a
three.
kind, right?
Yeah, one of a kind. Like 2, 3. The cat runs.
One free.
Not any ordinary cats, but a stripy one. So
Yes.
2, 3, I can always find. But hey, how can you
That's-
compare with Alvin, the only one?
One and
Yeah.
only. I see.
Yeah.
I think many people have pantuns of their own also.
Yes.
So if you, the viewers who are watching right now, and you have pantuns that you want to share, please write on the comments, and then we will hear from you, and we'll read out your pantuns that you like to share with us, because it is a very long tradition, or a long creativity of. Can you share some history about it?
Yeah, actually, we normally use pantuns in every occasion, in every circumstances. Like for weddings, even for funerals too, we have pantuns. Yeah, and there are many types of pantun, from love pantun to something that's cynical, something that is advisory. So in any form. Yeah. So, and we have people who can actually compose spontaneously, which are actually by far hard to come by. Yeah.
Hey, Eng
All
Thai,
right. Finally,
now we can see you.
Chan Eng
Can you
Thai.
hear me now?
Yes, now can hear you.
Gua kena pakai kau punya bini punya phone jom ah.
Lucky you got bini lah.
Laki aku bini lah, terus tak bini mati kan.
Apa khabar,
Apa
Ba?
khabar?
Khabar baik. Baba dua-dua.
Bagus Cantik
Sorry,
ke baju Tak apa.
Selalu sorry tadi sikit lambat lah. Aku tak tahu technical punya barang lah. So,
I guess
Baba Cedric,
yeah, saya.
actually, bila gua publish kau punya book, the first person I have in mind is you.
Ai, kamsalah, tiba
Tak tahu siapa so kasih lu itu book. Actually, gua ada reserve satu book kasih Baba. Because the Pantun, the Malay Baba exponents are, of course, Baba Cedric, son from Melaka, brother Baba Lee Yuan Tien, and of course here we have the gentlemen all from Gunung Sayang, I think you know them, and the one and only GT Lai. I think Baba Cedric will be, he is a real Malaccan, and when you speak, Cedric, we know that you are Peranakan, I tell you, this morning I had an encounter with.
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
Hey, it's a good thing because our Baba Malay is very unique. For example, recently the Peranakan Association had this cooking event. So they used the phrase dari dapur, dari pasar ke dapur. All right, which is unfortunately I think is okay, but it's very Malay. I think for us Peranakan we will say dari pasar ke dapur. That was the phrase they used. But I think for us we can just say pasar sampai dapur. You know, the shortcut that we usually use, because Peranakan is always they use the word they use a lot of terms that are shortcut. I think Cedric will know, dekat they say kat, gua sini kat Gelang. Instead of saying saya sini dekat Gelang, say gua sini kat Gelang. So I tell you what, I tell you something that I have to share. Few days ago, I think our Baba GT Lai made tape, so he wanted to give to me. So he sent me a WhatsApp, and this is how the WhatsApp sound. Harap encik jangan lupa, hari Minggu kita jumpa. Pukul 9 suku saya sampai, saya mau kasih sikit tape. You know, he wants to give me tape, and yet he wrote it to me in a pantun. And then I replied to him, bunga putih nama melati, beli pulut buat inti, kamsia encik ada hati, terima tape saya mesti. So needless to say, this morning I went to the market at 9:30 a.m. and I got the tape in my fridge today.
Wah, homia lo.
So lebih untung lah.
Yeah,
So the beauty of our Baba Malay is that, you know, when we use it and we express it, you know, it's so lovely. And I think, you know, the pantuns that are composed by Cedric are really lovely, you know, it encapsulates the thing, and then you have to be a Baba's Malay speaker in order to appreciate it.
Correct. You must have the vocabulary.
Yes. And the vocabulary you see at the fingertips of people like Baba Cedric and Baba GT Lai.
Yes,
just able to.
I agree, because when you look at Cedric's fingers, he wrote all it on his fingers there already. So yeah, see? Yeah.
Micro, just feed into the brain.
Okay, you've got a lot to share with a little time, so maybe we can jump into it.
So as Cedric had this is the book that I launched. It's called Pantun Baba Chan. And if you all watch the social media video by Baba Gabra, they were there to film the launch of the book. I think the only book that was published, but not of original Pantuns, but of a collection of Pantuns, was by Baba Ko Huntek in 1910. And this book was reprinted, I think 1912. It was reprinted by the Malaccan Association, not PPCM, the other association that is headed by Baba Ronald Gunn. And the booklet you can get it from Malacca. It's a small book. It's a beautiful book. So the thing is that when I launched this book this year, it was after a hiatus, 1912 and 2025. After so many years, another book of Pantun has been published. And these Pantuns, the Pantuns that are in my book, Pantun Baba Chan, are all originally written by me. It was not a reproduction of others, except the chapter relating to my WhatsApp banter of Pantuns between myself and Baba GT Lai. So as Baba Cedric had said, the Pantun is a quatrain. And you say the themes are usually revolves around love, family, birthday wishes. And he has aptly described that the first two lines of the Pantun that may seem unrelated, while the next two lines serve to reveal the underlying theme of the Pantun. In Malay, the first two lines of the Pantun are collectively called the Pembayang or the Bayang, the shadow. It leads you to somewhere else, but the punchline is at the third and fourth lines. That's called the Maksud. The punchline is this, and everybody will look forward to it. So just now, Baba Cedric recited the pantun in honor of saying the Baba Alvin Un. The most famous pantun that everybody knows is that pantun about pisang mas buat belayar, masak sebiji di atas peti, hutang mas boleh dibayar, hutang budi bawa ke mati. So there is a very famous pantun lah. And pantuns are usually written about a theme. There may be a theme about, throughout life, pantuns were written to describe the episode of life, which will be immortalized in the 4 verses. You can say many things, In the pantun, it encapsulates the meaning and essence of so many things. So the pantuns were written during times of joy or sorrow, or even in a spur of a moment. And that master of spur of moment, you look to the Malaccan Baba, Baba Cedric. At a spur of moment, he can recite a pantun. As Cedric has rightly pointed out, we must have the vocab to speak, to write Baba Pantun and to recite Baba Pantun. Even when you recite a pantun, you must have that rhythm and that that panache, able to utter each and every syllable with life and with vigor. Sometimes you hear people reading pantun in a deadpan manner, so that one you won't have that kind of pantun recitation is not very good. But you can only recite a pantun in that way if you really feel about the pantun and the language is in you. So what happens to the pantun? The pantuns were later used in a song called Dondang Sayang, and the exponents of Dondang Sayang were actually from Malacca, and Baba Cedric has sung many verses of many sessions of Dondang Sayang. I saw it on YouTube, and he was also, I think you were featured, Cedric, on Malaysian TV also, singing Dondang Sayang with your friends.
Adakah?
So ada. So the pantuns that he sang, was sung to the tune of Dondang Sayang. And in Singapore, the exponents of the Dondang Sayang, it came from a Malay orchestra, but later evolved, if you can see the next slide, evolved into a Baba Peranakan Dondang Sayang troupe. And of course, this was the precursor to the Dondang Sayang singers in the Gunung Sayang Association. This picture was taken, I think in one of the earliest one, where the late Gui Peng Kui, that he's playing the gong. The late Baba Gui Peng Kui was the father of Baba GT Lai. So you see the Peranakan Chinese, they coexisted and they live in harmony in this cultural aspect with our Malay brethren. You can see the lady playing the rebana there is Malay lady. And if you can see the next slide, the pantun that was composed, and just now I told you about the book, this was a gentleman, Mr. Koh Hun Tek. And he was so passionate in writing about pantun. And if you read about his life, actually his own business failed. He was printing all these pantuns until I think he got overboard that, profit was not the main aim. Although his business failed, his legacy lives on. And until now, the name of Koh Hun Tek, he's buried at Bukit Brown Cemetery. The legacy of Koh Hun Tek lives in the pantuns that he has written. And for us, pantun enthusiasts, the pantuns written by the late Koh Hun Tek and his contemporaries at that time were classic pantuns. And you can read his pantuns, you can get his pantuns from the little booklet that I showed you just now. It was printed by the Peranakan, what is that? The other association, Patrick, Cedric, bukan PPCM lah. Datuk Ronald Gunn,
Malaysia.
Association.
Baba Nyonya Malaysia.
Yeah, Peranakan Baba Nyonya Malaysia. They printed the book. And it's a laudable thing for them to print. For us who read, write, and compose pantun, that was a very good thing because it revived the interest in us in reading such beautiful pantuns written by our forebears at that point of time. Ko Hun Tek was so passionate about the Pantun that when he passed away and when he was buried at Bukit Brown, if you can see the other slide, he had a retinue of Dondang Sayang singers singing Dondang Sayang at his grave.
Wow.
His grave is still intact at Bukit Brown. And his, I think some of his descendants are still around, and they go there, they do go there and pay respects. I've heard from Baba GT Lai that he is related to Baba Ko Hun Tek on his, I think, grandmother's side. You can see the passion of this and of this late Baba Ko Hun Tek. Until the day that he died and he was buried to return to earth, he wanted to hear Donang Sayang and the Pantuns being sung at his funeral. So, who are the living legacies of the Pantun? As I told you, everybody knows Baba GT Lai. And this was Baba GT Lai. When we went to visit, it was before COVID. You know, in Singapore, there is an interest group around about who are trying to preserve and make it into a living heritage, the Chinese cemetery in Singapore called Bukit Brown, where many prominent Peranakans are being buried. So GT Lai, at that point of time, recited this pantun, you know, and this pantun also is so nice. Kalau tuan pergi rumah Cik Nona, petik saya sebiji delima. Dunia bukan kita punya, asal manusia pulang ke tanah. When Baba GT Lai recited this pantun in Bukit Brown, it was so apt. It talks about, you know, in this life, it is not ours forever. One day, rich or poor, pandai ka bodoh, whatever it is, we will return to the earth. You can see how the beauty of the pantun, the beauty of that pantun has been recited at that point of time at Bukit Brown. And I was also fortunate at that point of time to recite a pantun at the grave of Ko Hun Tek. It was on the 16th of October 2011. It was a delightful trip when we were there because Baba GT Lai was with me and he recited his pantun and I recited a pantun which I printed and was given to the minister Mr. Desmond Lee. Mr. Desmond Lee, I think his name is Desmond Lee at the time when he was there. So I told you just now, you know, GT Lai and I, because he lives quite near my place, and I'm really blessed and fortunate to have this friendship with him. He will message me in a way of pantun, and I rebut him, you know. Although, especially during COVID time when we cannot meet. So some of the pantuns he wrote to me are this. Langsai belarak sama cingge.
Oh, different.
Tambo bunyi betul meriah. Selamat sambut Cap Gome sama kita bersukaria. We who have lived, you know, in the days of old where we see langsai petas being the firecrackers being fired and being let off during Chinese New Year, we can write all this pantun because it is part of our life. Then when he wrote this pantun to me, I replied to him. I balas pantun. Langsai lompat tunggang terbalik. Gong tambo itu irama. Terima kasih ucapkan baik. Encik sahabat setia lama. So the meaning of the pantun is that, you know, yes, there was this gong and then this, but you have given me good wishes. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because you are my old friend and loyal friend. I don't know how to describe to you all. When we write a pantun and then when we send it to someone and someone replies to us, the feeling is really, you know, indescribable. Do you share that, Cedric? You know, bila orang tulis pantun kasih Cedric, habis Cedric balas balik, you know, it is how lovely it is, you know. You can feel it, lah. It is.
I do that.
Yeah, he does that. I have watched Cedric on YouTube, you know. And on also when recently also at the 36 Baba Nyonya International Convention, and he
Yes.
started off and he started off reading the pantuns of his own, and he welcomed the guests. I think that was a lovely thing, and very few people can do that. And one of the few persons that did that or can still do that is our Baba Cedric from Malacca. Kudos to you, Patrick. Cedric, kudos to you.
Kamsia banyak-banyak.
So, what is the secret of writing a pantun? Well, Cedric has already said just now, you have to have a feeling of the language. Of course, you got to have the vocab. You got to speak Baba Malay well, or even Baba. But Cedric, do you share with me, sometimes when the Malaysian Peranakans write pantun, they tend to be really very strictly like, the vocabulary they use is strictly like Bahasa Melayu lah, Bahasa Malaysia lah. Huh?
Sometimes they do that, yeah. Sometimes
I agree. Sometimes we got to do that. Like when I presented a pantun to the president of Singapore at that time, Madam Halimah Yaakob, I had to use Bahasa Melayu lah, right? I don't use the vocabulary of our Baba Malay. So the pantuns that I've written, and Cedric just now showed you my book, Pantun Baba Chan, revolves around many things. If you can see the slide about orang kahwin, if Alvin can help me show me the slide. You can go on, Alvin. This is the late Baba Peng Kui. He was not only a pantun writer, he was a famous Dondang Sayang singer also. So this was during the heyday in the 50s and the 60s, where people will go and buy tickets and watch Dondang Sayang performances at this place in Geylang called Happy World. Then it became Gay World, and now it has been demolished already. So these were the times where, we cannot replicate that time anymore. But what we can do is, among the Peranakan community, especially in Malacca and Singapore, is to share these pantuns that we have with each other. Pantuns were written, or the pantuns that I wrote were for occasions like wedding, birthday, anniversaries, even sad occasion. And let me share with you one of the pantuns that I wrote. If you can see the next slide, the pantun that I wrote, Sejit is, his birthday. And we have Kueku Merah during the Sejit. I wrote a pantun in honor of my father in 2010 before he passed away. And let me read the pantun to you. My father was born in Pasir Panjang, a district in Singapore. At that point of time, that was the sea. And like many Peranakan families, he was, if we use Baba Malay, kasih orang jaga. He was brought up by a nanny. And his nanny was a Malay lady called Wak Lenggang. And I was very fortunate that during Wak Lenggang's lifetime, I was able to meet Wak Lenggang. And I got to know what it was, for she to bring up my father. My father, I think, was fostered to her until about 4 to 5 years old, until he went to school. And what Lenggang told me that, what was the idiosyncrasies of my dad when he was a baby. So I wrote this pantun in honor of my father. My father had a nickname. He was called Encik Pong. None of us knew that time why. Why was he called Encik Pong? His name was Chan Chiu Peng, but why was he called Encik Pong? Well, this pantun will tell you the reason why he was named Encik Pong. Pasir Panjang pantai cantik, dapat pancing ikan kembung. Wak Lenggang jaga anak kuntik. Kuntik was my grandfather. Suka pukul tambo, namakan Pong. So Wak Lenggang told me, hey, your father at that point of time, when we were living in the Pasir Panjang kampung, he was a small kid. Whenever you have the kompang group, I think the kompang group is quite still prevalent, Cedric in Malacca. Bila orang kahwin, orang Melayu kahwin sudah ada kompang. When my father heard the kompang, they played the tambo, he would quickly run out to watch. So they named him Pong lah. That's why he was called Encik Pong. And because it was his birthday, the pantun, I wrote another 4 verses Ia besar ada suara seroni. Gantung caiki sambut jerki. Kamsia tuan-puan datang ke sini. Panjang umur mesti jumpa lagi. So I wrote the pantun not only to talk about his birthday, but to thank the guests that came for his birthday. And this pantun is in the book that I wrote in honor of my father. And I was very happy to have written this pantun in honor of him, because subsequently the next year he passed away. So that was a very poignant time for me. So for people like us, right, pantun, again, I must say, people like Baba Static in Malacca will share with my passion. And he is the right person that Baba Alvin Un has picked to co-host this session. You can really feel it. Right, Cedric? When you write the pantun at the occasion when you recite it, you can really feel it. It is an indescribable feeling. You must be the writer of the pantun and you must be the reciter of the pantun to feel it. The passion and the joy to deliver the pantun in this manner. Betul tak, Cedric?
Betul.
Betul, eh? So maybe at this point of time, Cedric, and you can float this idea, because you have your group of people that writes pantun in Malacca, and then you know the people in KL. Maybe we can have a pantun forum where we can share this pantun. And for posterity, all the pantuns that have been written can be collected and be shared among all those pantun enthusiasts, not only them, but all those interested in Baba Malay. I'm not saying that we want to, preserve our legacy, but to share this legacy. For example, like Orang Kawin, I wrote a pantun during the marriage of one of my nephews, my nephew and my niece. Pantun Kawin. And Pantun Kawin, Orang Kawin mesti ada kuih, right? You have to serve kuih, macam-macam ya kuih. And of course, you all know one of the most famous kuih is kuih apung bokwa. Let me read this pantun to you. Pantun Kawin. If the next slide will show you. Kuah apung bokwa cukup pekat. Ada pisang raja lagi sedap. Kemanting kiasai sepasang lihat. Anak buah mayak mesti dapat. The English translation, thick indeed is the gravy of the pancake. Add slices of banana, delicious it becomes. The bride and bridegroom, a perfect match. Many children, surely they will have. So, pantuns were written, for wedding, they will always they hope that the bride and bridegroom will live in peace and harmony. And of course, the parents of the bride and bridegroom, what do they look forward to? Of course, dokong cucu lah. Right? So that's why the pantun was written. Not only the bride and bridegroom are a perfect match, but we earnestly hope and pray that they will give grandchildren to their parents. Sometimes pantun are also written during occasions. Like I think the 22nd Baba Convention. I remember, I think Cedric, you were there. The 22nd Baba Convention was held in Singapore. So I wrote this pantun in honor of the association. It's called Hidup Budaya Baba. Kain batik tulis tangan. Tulang tangan kebaya rubia. Pakaian bibi, pakaian nyonya. Baju Cina, baju Baba. Belian di mulut, hati sayang. Bahasa Baba, bahasa nyonya. Satu patah, 1000 sayang. Hidup Baba, hidup budaya. So our earnest hope at every convention was that our Baba legacy would live on. And I think that was the whole purpose of the Baba Convention. And I heard, Baba Cedric, that the 36th International Baba Nyonya Convention was a roaring success. Kudos to you. Everybody said that the presentation of the topics that were there was so interesting and so lively. Needless to say, all of them enjoyed the joget very much lah. The joget and the makan. But the topic, I met people who went to the convention. Unfortunately, I didn't go because I had a singing engagement before the convention. Everybody said that the topics that you chose, that were chosen for the convention, were so relevant. And it made them proud to be Peranakans, to inherit this legacy. Especially the part where the young people said that, they are interested in their heritage. and wants to continue the heritage. I think that is a lovely thing. And I hope that, we can get it started lah. Kita ni, I know kita semua ada umur. So one day we will all jalan. Wherever we jalan, we do not know where. But when we see that the younger generation has an interest in continuing with this, I think that is very satisfying.
Sorry, Batu, sorry to interject, but we've got 10 minutes and quite a few more.
Okay, the last one is this. As I said, we must also know there's another Pantun, there's also another community called the Ceti Melaka. So I wrote this Pantun in honor of them. No need to read lah. You can see it in my book if you buy my book. Just now when I spoke to Baba Cedric, I talked about, our Pantun in Baba we are the writers of the Pantun here. We are Peranakans, we write in Baba Malay. And he's right. Sometimes we got to write the Pantun in proper Malay. For example, the Pantun Maju Singapura. If you can go on to the next slide. Thank you, Baba Elvin. I wrote this one, Maju Singapura. It must be in the proper Malay because this Pantun was to be given to the then President of Singapore, Tony Tan. Utara, Selatan, Timur, Barat. Datang ke sini Singapura. 4 bangsa pikul balak, benih tanam, tumpah darah. Orang Cina bukan Cina, orang Melayu bukan Melayu. Orang apa Baba Nyonya, orang Singapura, negeri maju. That's very Malay, but it encapsulates the spirit of Singapore. Okay, the other pantuns that are in the slide are actually all in the book. And as I've spoken to you also, pantuns sometimes are written at times of sadness. One pantun that I wrote was when my dad passed away, and you can feel the sadness in it. Tanam padi di tengah sawah, beras masak menjadi nasi. Hidupan manusia sedih ketawa, dapat bapak sayang baik nasib. Makan pakai kiam kurang, simpan untuk anak buah. Selamat berpisah bapak sekarang, berjumpa kamsia, berjuta kamsia dari kita semua. This pantun is a mixture of Malay and Baba Malay, where I use the word kamsia, kiam kurang, which only peranakan Baba Nyonyas from Malaysia, from Melaka and Singapore will be able to understand. Macam kita pakai kiam kurang, Cedric orang Melaka pun pakai kan? Kiam kurang, so such things. So I think that is what I can present for today lah. The Tahun Baru, all pantun you can read in my book lah. So Baba Alvin, any questions from the viewers?
No questions. I think
no question.
they are very enthralled by your numbers of pantun that you have done over the years, and you have hundreds of pantuns that you have written. Betul tak?
Yeah, I think my pantuns were all written, in between work. I work as a lawyer, and then I go to court. So in court proceedings, ada banyak adjournment, ada banyak we have to wait always for the judge to come out from the chambers to the court. So what do? We have to tunggu, right? Tunggu ada kali macam tunggu buat tak jatuh. But whatever it is we tunggu, I will write a few lines of the pantun. Then when I come back, I will continue to make it, to perfect it lah, to make it better. So these pantuns were written for a period of, I started to write pantuns when I was maybe 28, 27, and I continued to write. Yeah, 30 years ago.
Oh, 30 years.
Actually more than 30 years ago lah. Gua sudah tua, 40 years ago. So until now lah. Dulu we wrote on pieces of paper. Abi taruh computer, put in a folder. Abi ni jam pula ada WhatsApp, and I can show you. Kita punya elder generation like Baba GT like, dia boleh WhatsApp sama gua dia punya pantun. So I think it's lovely lah. Absolutely lovely.
So it becomes a collection.
Yes, it becomes a collection. Can I ask Baba Cedric, you and your friends in Melaka, when you communicate with each other, adakah by way of pantun?
There are many circumstances where we do we call it banter in pantuns. Sometimes like for example in Facebook, when someone just kick off the whole conversation with a pantun, and then not only between the two of us, but also all other pantun lovers, they also chip in their pantuns.
I've seen some of the posting.
A string of pantuns. So which is very interesting because everybody has their own take, and the message that everyone wants to convey is so we put it in a very halus way, in a very, very not a rude way, but very, very so in a way, it encourages people to chip in and add on and banter some more, so it's nice, so there's no ill feeling when you pantun. It's
you're right. Right. There's always that joy, when you write, as I shared with you just now, when you compose a pantun and then you send to for example, you send to Baba Cedric and he replies to you, then you find that it's so satisfying. So you must try it, Baba Alvin. You try it.
Boleh. Write all nonsense one. I write all the funny things.
No, never mind.
Okay.
Nonsense is called Pantun Janaka. Okay, pantun that is comical, make people laugh.
Yeah.
Pantuns are written for all occasions. Just now I told you I wrote a pantun for my father's birthday. Then I wrote a pantun when he passed on. So in life, ada ketawa, ada sedih, ada menangis. So it's all part and parcel of life. And we encapsulate all this in these 4 verses of the pantun, in the 4 lines of the pantun.
Before we wrap up, I think we would like to know more about your buku lah.
Yeah.
Please share a bit about this book and what was how long you took to put it together, and where to sell it, where to buy.
Okay. This book contains a collection of 100 over pantuns that I've written. One chapter are my pantuns, and just now I shared with you Membalas Pantun with Baba GT Lai. That's why this book, the foreword, was written by Baba GT Lai, because I think I learned a lot from him. When this book, how long it took to prepare this book, I'm malu to tell you, I think I took about 15 years or 10 years to, I think more than 10 years to complete the book, because we all tak senang. I will write the pantun, then I put in the folder. I write the pantun, I put in the folder. Then my wife and my sons would tell me, hey, you must do it, because life is uncertain.
That's true.
Satu kali kita itu pelita padam saya kita sota lagi. So they say write something lah, so that for legacy. So eventually, after much work, much encouragement and much pestering lah, they say that you must finish your pantun. I had the good fortune of knowing this publisher from Tatal, Mr. Eric Wee, and with his help, the Pantun Baba Chan was published this year and launched in October. So you can get the book online from Amazon, and you can even get it on Berlin, because my son, who is second son, who was instrumental in helping me to have this book put into print, he's stationed in Berlin. He said they are selling it in Berlin also.
Betul kah?
Yeah, then you can get it online. Kinokuniya is also selling it. The price is, I think, $22 or $23. But last week, Friday, Saturday, tangan gua gatal lah, gua mutiuk in Malaysia, Baba Nyonya cousins in Melaka and in Penang, how much must be they pay for the book? Sekali gua tengok, gua terperanjat. 70 ringgit and 90 cents. Alamak. I think that is quite a high price lah. So I think I want to speak to the publisher. Macam Malaysia, maybe kita jual murah sikit. Boleh tak Baba Cedric?
Tentu boleh. Tentu banyak orang beli ya. Kalau buku pantun bagus-bagus, sure beli.
I think Cedric, what we can do is that this is in the long term lah. The lovely pantuns that you have composed, you put it in a collection, and then we have a combined collection between the associations in Singapore and your association in Kuala Lumpur or Melaka. Together we publish these pantuns, and it is for posterity. And you can see, the subtle differences between the Malaccan Babas in writing, in composing pantun, and the Singapore Babas in writing, or even the Nyonyas, not only Babas, sorry, Baba Nyonya writing pantuns.
That's
so maybe we can look this up and try and cooperate along this line.
Okay. So that's all the time we have. Unfortunately, we can, I think, go on forever and balas
Yeah.
over and over. But kamsia so much, Baba Eng Thai, for sharing with us your experience and all your pantun, and all the best on your book. I hope it's a bestseller, sellout. So everybody, you can go and get Baba Chan Eng Thai's book. So kamsia, Pa.
And thank you again. Kamsia.
Support.
Okay. Kamsia, Baba Cedric. Kamsia, Elvin.
Okay, kamsia.
Semua selamat. Badan kuat, sihat.
Okay. So we'll see you at our next segment starting at 4 p.m. We've got
Okay,
Peter
thank
Lee
you.
joining us.
All right.
So we'll see you at the next segment. Bye-bye.
Bye.